Hello everyone and welcome back to Crafty Mama. Today I'm bringing you along as we explore Little Sweden. Our first step was to the mountain men, where the kids learned all about the men who lived in teepees, how they hunted, how they cooked their own foods, and how they survived. Next up we went to the mill, and this is where the kids learned all about the process of creating flour from wheat. So the presenter actually started straight from the wheat stalks, explained how they got the wheat berries out of the husks, and then went on to the milling process. This mill is actually 2 stories high, and so the kids were able to go all the way up to the 2nd story and go from there with the whole process all the way down. They didn't start the mill for us because they only do it once a year, and that was actually happening the following day.
About weaving. So, have any of you ever tried weaving? No? Have any of you ever seen a loom?
Yeah.
Yes? Where did you see a loom?
In pictures.
Okay, in pictures? Okay. So, a long time ago, when I was in college, I got to go to school in Sweden. And you might know that Lindsborg was founded by Swedish people 150 years ago. This is the year of our birthday, and so Lindsborg is 150 years old this year. So, when I was in college, I got to go to school in Sweden, and I learned to weave. And so today, I want to tell you about this hobby. So, I don't know if you've ever seen any weaving in books, but this is one, Tommy DePaulo is one of my favorite authors, and this is a book called Charlie Needs a Cloak. And in this book, a cloak is a certain kind of a coat. And in this book, you learn a little bit about weaving, because Charlie, he goes to catch the sheep, and he shears the sheep, and the sheep have wool, and so he cuts the wool off the sheep, and he washes it, and then he cards it, and then he uses a spinning wheel to spin the wool into cloth. You can see a little bit of a spinning wheel here. And then he decides he wants to dye the wool red, and so he gets some berries off of a bush, and he dyes the wool red, and then he's putting the threads, the wool on the loom, and then he's weaving. This is a floor loom, and a floor loom really works a lot like a table loom. It really works the same principles. And so then he weaves the fabric to make a new pattern. So when you weave with paper, I always kind of tell myself, for my Sunday school class, you have to go over, under, over, under, over, under. And the neat thing with the loom is the loom does the work for you. There are about 200 threads on this loom, and it would take a long time to go over, under, over, under. So the loom has these levers that lift up the harnesses. The harnesses hold the heddles, and the heddles have a little eye in it that I put the thread through. And so when I change these levers, different threads go up, and then if I do the opposite, those threads go down. And do you see how I can just slide the shuttle? I can just slide it through. Do you see that? Instead of having to go over, under, it lifts and separates the thread for me. So that's a lot quicker than going over, under, over, under.
And after she got done explaining the loom and the process of the weaving, all of the kids actually got to try it out, which they had a blast with. Even Vaughn got to do a little bit. We had a little bit of time in between sessions, and so we got to go exploring. And we found this area that was right beside the river, and so we were able to explain to our group how they use the water from the river to then power the mill. The music you hear in the background is actually the woman that was presenting about the harps, playing the harp and having the kids sing along with her. And then I think this was the boys' favorite part. They both got to pet some llamas and feel the llama's fur. And we actually got to bring some of it home, which was kind of cool.
This is our folk art painting station. So I'm going to show you some things about Swedish folk art. You might have seen some of our red doll horses around town. Have you seen some of those little red horses already? A lot of people have them hanging on their houses as signs. They might have the family's name painted on them. You can see these have a number, 204. All of those wooden signs have been hanging on my house at one time or another over the years. You can see there are some things that are the same about them. They're all made of wood. This one's kind of thin. It's not very thick, front to back. It is painted on both sides, though. These are a little bit thicker. You can see these are also made out of wood, but they're about 2 inches thick from side to side. But there are some different things about them too, because these were painted by 3 different artists, 3 different people. And that's what folk art is. Folk are people. So folk art is just art made by people, not specially trained artists necessarily, just people who like to paint. I'm going to show you some things about painting. You'll see I have one painted here on paper. The ones that I make at the shop downtown called Hemslöjd. It's a shop that makes these wooden signs. Hemslöjd sounds like kind of a funny word. That's a Swedish word. And what it means is handcrafted or homemade, made with your hands, not made by a machine.
No, sir.
Well, what I'm going to show you is some ways that we paint using Swedish folk art techniques. And when you're painting, you have to have the right tool for the job. Brushes come in all sizes and shapes. But this is the one I'm going to use first. And you can see when I hold it this way, the bristles, those hair-like things that are going to hold the paint at the end there, they're wide from side to side across when I hold it that way. But when I turn it this way, look how skinny that is. The shape of this brush is called a flat brush. So they come in all sizes, but this is the perfect size I need for doing this. I'll just ignore this upside down horse for a while. I don't like to waste anything, so I can put 2 horses on the same piece of paper. So we'll ignore that top one upside down. Now what I'm going to show you is how we paint a mane. I'm just going to make 3 strokes of white paint and this brush. Now my horse has a mane. A mane is a horse's hair that comes out of its neck. It usually hangs down on one side. The next thing I'm going to paint is the saddle. I'm going to put 1 stroke across the top there. And now you can see on the upside down one, I need to make 3 circles with the paint. And there's a special way we do that. I'm going to use my brush sort of like you would use a compass. A compass is a tool that helps you draw perfectly round circles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep 1 corner of my brush in the same place. And I'm going to twist and turn the other side of the brush all the way around it. Let's see if we can make a circle. It's a pretty good circle. I need to make 2 more, one on this side. Now, but this next thing I'm going to show you is a very special technique that Swedish folk artists invented. And it's called double loading the brush. And when I was painting the white, I just had 1 color on my brush. But I'm going to put 2 colors on it at the same time. I'm going to dip 1 corner of my brush, same brush, in the white. And I'm going to dip the other corner in that pretty blue. I'm going to do a few blending strokes here on my palette just to kind of get those mixing. But when I use this on the brush, you can kind of see what happens. You get blue on one side and white on the other side, and they kind of mix in between. So you get that beautiful blended stroke. There's never 2 that are exactly alike, but that's kind of the neat thing about folk art.
I hope you enjoyed coming along to Little Sweden with us. If you enjoyed this kind of content, please consider subscribing and leave me a comment down below on videos that you would like to see. Until next time, guys.